which relate to these various issues.
Address has addressed himself to every subject except the sovereignty of India. And that has been the glaring exception. But this is what is uppermost in the minds of the people, in the mind of every patriotic person in the country. The question today is whether the government will be accountable to the parliament of this country, to the people of this country, or to the experts of the IMF and World Bank. Whether it will take the people into confidence, the parliament into confidence, or will take the foreign institutions into confidence first. The question is whether we will have a foreign policy of our own, or whether all the policies are going to be foreign, whether the values for which the martyrs of freedom struggle laid down their lives will they be upheld or not. What is at stake is the economic and political sovereignty of the country and nothing less. And posterity will judge us. Let us not forge the shackles for a posterity here. I do not put blame, but what I say with pains. I have the occasion to attend international meets of the World Bank and IMF, of UNCTAD, the GATT. And some countries used to tell us that we present our budget first to the World Bank and IMF for scrutiny, and thereafter we announce it in our country. And I used to wonder, is this possible? I don't know how much the budget has been presented or not. I'll not go into those details. But certainly, we do feel by the very documents that have been presented to us and the World Bank that has been presented, that so far as policies are concerned, and that is more important than the technicalities of a budget. Now it is being submitted to the World Bank and IMF. And it is the World Bank report that says the monitoring of macroeconomic performance in particular will be closely coordinated with the IMF. The Bank Association will also monitor the implementation and progress of reform actions through a mid-term consultation to be held prior to the end of January 1992, in addition to serving as a catalyst to promote greater coordination among the various line ministries to which the SAL/SAC program relates. The review would provide a forum to discuss with the authorities the recommendations of several high-level committees established by the government and their incorporation to the extent appropriate in the 92-93 budget, quote unquote. So this document is evidence of the fears that we had of coming true. And I remember in Uruguay, when I had contact with the US counterpart, very plainly they said, Well, Mr. Singh, you may not agree, but we can deal with the countries bilaterally, and we'll see they will agree. I told them that this is against all canons of multilateral trading, but you can do that. But any illicit relations, I'm not going to sanctify in the church by giving endorsement to what you want to do. This arm twisting and threats perhaps has now reached our country, and we are seeing the distortions that are taking place in our various policy matters. And it is most reflected in our foreign policy. So far as I remember, I may be wrong, but in this very house, the Honorable Prime Minister had given an assurance, so far as the recognition of Israel was concerned, that we will not give recognition to Israel unless a satisfactory solution to the Palestinian problem comes through the West Asia peace talks. West Asia peace talks have given no results, but recognition to Israel has been given. I could understand if a BJP government would have done it, because it is in their manifesto that we will recognize Israel. It was never in the manifesto of the Congress, and today, if it is done, I believe it is under pressure, and this is servility, and this is submission to the foreign pressure that is evidence on it on the foreign policy side. Similarly, the vote on Zionism, that it will no longer be treated as racism, is another evidence. The endorsement of action against Libya is further evidence. And in Iraq, today, children are dying without medicine. But even on this human consideration, the present government cannot raise a single voice on that account to make any efforts. We tried to send food there, and we did succeed in it. And this is evidence, which is, I say, not because we are on opposition and we oppose it. It's not a question of this party or that party. Our country is being committed to such a course which is against its sovereignty and its economic independence. And in the face of such a challenge, what is the response? The response is helplessness. I want to ask, did you seek the help of the people of this country? No. Did you seek the help of the parliament? No. Did you seek the help of the parties concerned? No. You sought only the help of IMF and World Bank, and when they dictate their terms, you find yourself totally helpless. Let us remember the spirit of freedom fight. Did Gandhi say that the British have got so much ammunition, we are helpless, we cannot do anything? When Vietnam was challenged by carpet bombing by the US, did the people of Vietnam say, we are helpless, they have got so many bombs, what can we do? But here, a cult of mental slavery is being cultivated consciously. That is what is the greatest danger, rather than details of budget or government or... The will of the nation is being undermined. But I must say, let us not underestimate the patriotic sense of the people. And had you taken them trust, any sacrifice they would be ready to do to safeguard the independence, economic and political. But you did not trust them. You kept them in dark. Every measure that you took, we only read in the newspaper without telling the people and taking them into confidence. And what are the proposals now, sir? Mr. Duncan, what has he to tell us? That any multinational can come and set up industry in any area it wants. in any industry it wants, it will have no obligation of exports. It will have no obligation to buy any produce of this country. It will have total freedom to import anything that it likes from abroad. This is Mr. Dunkel. And under the Intellectual Properties Act, what will happen to the scientists that have gone to build the self-reliance of this country and its strength? Even seeds and biofertilizer will be subject to intellectual property and patent. A farmer, if he grows seed, grows crop, he will have to buy seed again from the multinational. All the tissue culture and all that's being imported, I don't know whether they are under the patent. I want answers. Today, there's no question of other debates. Let it be told very clearly that we are not going to implement the proposal. 301. We want a clear answer as to what is the position of the government on 301, on Dunkel proposal, on trims and trips. In fact, what the government has been doing is to implementing Dunkel without taking the name of Dunkel. Those proposals are coming as their own. And it's so transparent, sir. Even now the spelling of color is changed from C-L-O-U-R to C-O-L-O-R. That is the color of the government. Prime Minister, I see in him a personal friend. When I look at the government, sir, then I see Mr. Dunkel. And Mr. Dunkel could not have got off better, because all his proposals are being implemented and the government is protecting even his name and the authorship of the proposal. And who is paying for all these structural changes? And who are paying for these structural changes? Even the Finance Minister Manmohan Singh had to admit, in spite of a lot of gloss, that where this burden will lie. And talking of these structural changes and the burden, he has said, regarding poorer sections of our society, especially in rural areas, from the burdens that would otherwise be forced upon them as the economy goes through the process of macroeconomic stabilization and economic structure. I'll read it again. I'll read it again. The government, sir, I'm reading it again. You know me well. In spite of all noise, I'll neither sit down nor stop. So bear with me. The government is deeply conscious of its special responsibility to protect the poorer section of society. That is the gloss part of it. And the real part it, especially in rural areas, from the burdens that would otherwise be forced upon them as the economy goes through the process of macroeconomic stabilization and economic structuring. This is the full sentence. This is synopsis by, sir, your secretary. So, sir, if you have given us wrong, then please let us know.
Well, I don't think...
I am exactly reading the sentence that I have written from the secretary.
May I respectfully suggest, please don't read synopsis, read the speeches.
No, sir. Because what comes from you is authentic.
It comes from the office.
Point in full. Sir, it is rightly Indrajit Gupta raised the issue as to on whom this burden will fall. The first burden that fell was on the poor by price rise and inflation. And here I quite agree with what Indrajit ji said, that if BJP endorses the policies of the present government, and I see no difference between the two, to me,
कोई विश्वनाथ प्रताप सिंह जी को कोई अंतर नहीं दिखाई दे रहा है, लेकिन जरा वो ऊपर देखें, हमारा आपका तो अंतर है।
मान्यवर अटल जी जो कहे अपने ढंग से जो है वो कहते ही है, उसका अनोखा ही रहता है, लेकिन वो ऊपर न देखें, इनके नीचे क्या है वो देखें। और असली बात वो है कि इस ऊपर के नीचे क्या है, उस चीज को कह रहा वो एक। So sir, I was most respectfully submitting to BJP friends that if you endorse the policies broadly, you cannot divest yourself and detach yourself from the fruits. You are watering the root and say, I am away from the fruit. So this will not do. If the policies are wrong, you have to attack it from root to fruit. So this dichotomy of watering the root and rejecting the fruit will not do. And further, who has paid the cost of this restructuring, sir? Cut in plan expenditure 91-92 was of the order of about 700 crores, 7%. Non-planned capital expenditure. It is capital expenditure yet. Budget revised estimates were budget estimates were 15,382. They came down to 13,374, about 2,000 crores. Sir, rural development was down last year by 500 crores. From budget estimates to revised. Water resources were cut by 50 crores, environment by 33 crores, health by 22 crores, education by 72 crores, and small scale and agro industries by 40 crores. It is these sectors, these are the sections who have paid for the structural changes. And the plight of the farmers after the hike in fertilizer prices, what is the condition of the weavers, and what the labor will face in retrenchment, and the government employees in retrenchment is another story itself. And after paying all these prices, what have we got? Stagnation on the agricultural front, negative growth in industry, and stalling of our exports. And surrender of our economic and political sovereignty. This is what we have got after all this what has happened and the price that has been paid. And after all this, after taking all this loan and everything, what is the future, sir? And how are we going to utilize all this loan? Now, very proudly it is announced in the budget speech that our ability to fight inflation has been considerably enhanced by improvement in our foreign exchange reserves. Is the whole thing, is what you have done. Everything comes in it. So the foreign exchange, which is built up by and large by loans, even NRI deposits are loans, that is being utilized for bringing down prices. And precisely it is this route of loans that has brought us to this situation. I am worried, sir, because we have taken these loans and macroeconomic adjustment is being proclaimed, is being done. But the crux of the matter, what about revenue deficits? It should be pointed out the revenue deficits. Now budget estimates are 13,850 crores. Revised is 17,000 crores. The revenue deficit has increased more than 4,000 crores. It is relevant when we debate the president's address. We can't go evacuate what the government has done, has to be brought to notice. Yes.
And your area is
Okay. Now, sir, today we have come to this situation where our economic sovereignty is at stake. We have to submit ourselves to IMF. The macro mismanagement of the economy is part of it. A revenue deficit has to be discussed and how this is going to be managed and how this government is managing revenue deficit is vital to this discussion. We cannot gloss over it. And what has happened? The revenue expenditure, which was 70% in 1991, capital expenditure 30%. In 91-92, revenue expenditure went to 74%, capital expenditure to 26%. In 92-93, revenue expenditure went to 75% and capital expenditure to 75%. It is this rise in revenue expenditure, is proportion, and increase in revenue deficit, which is something very serious, sir. In 1986, I brought to the cabinet, and those papers are still in the finance ministry under my signature, that revenue deficit is such that we continue on this path. By 1990, you will be bankrupt. The revenue deficit will cross 14,000 crores. And yet, that being at the root of the cause, this is how, in spite of taking loans, the revenue deficit is being managed and is being glossed over, not brought to the notice of the people. And what is further on the anvil, sir? It is proposed that from the RBI profit, about 1,500 crores will be utilized, when the order used to be 200 to 300 crores. It is known that the RBI profit is utilized for the NABARD and IDPR. So, in this structural change, it is these sections we are going to be hurt. That is on the anvil, therefore it is relevant, sir. I don't have to go into what has been presented. On the budget debate it will come. Lot of fudging is done, every finance minister has done. But here, the fudging is to a degree which I don't think how it is understood. Normally, about 7,500 is more is expected from the public sector. When it's being exited, that is what is being expected of it. And in custom duty, when it has been lowered, that also is being, thousands of crores is being, on that is being expected. So what is the essence? That not only the country has been kept in the dark, it is continued to be kept in the dark by the present government, and on all these essentials, there has not been brought to light. Regarding agriculture, sir, it seems when the policy changes of the government, the dress of the agriculture minister also changes. He's not looking like a farmer today. He looks like an American farmer. And we are getting American wheat, I don't know. in foreign policy matters you submitted to the blackmail that you will not sell rice to Cuba. That is another also evidence of submission of letting down your friend, consistent friend Cuba, whether you're going to sell them rice or not. So what is today, sir, necessary? While you're talking of liberalization and everything, the farmer is in shackles. If he produces paddy, he cannot make rice without license. There's no need of liberalization there. If he produces at one place, he cannot sell at another place. Sir, we are going to violate it ourselves from Janata Dal. We are not going to, the farmer is going to remain in shackles by all these laws like this. The inefficiency of the fertilizer sector is being now transferred to the farm sector. Already a sector where investments have stagnated. This is the policy, the new policy that is coming and will hurt the very vital sector of farmers. And regarding the weavers, I have already mentioned, the small scale sector where the employment is largest, that is going to be hit. And so far as the poorer section is concerned, the less said, the better. If we see to the President's address. Now, about scheduled caste, sir, they say efforts will be made to expand employment opportunities of scheduled caste. And there is the end of it. No further proposal. What has happened to the backlog of the quota of the scheduled caste and scheduled tribes? Yes. We have a government in Bihar, sir. Lalu Yadav has enacted that if an officer does not fulfill the quota of the scheduled caste, scheduled tribe, he will be in prison for 3 months and also fined. It should be a national law at this level. Why not even after 43 years if we had not been able? We would have known that you want to do something for scheduled caste if there was some announcement like that. Yes, they have entry of multinational, exit of labor. That is the policy. And regarding backward classes, sir, only mention of backward classes finance development corporation. The question is not of money. Are you giving the share in power? What has happened to Mandal Commission? There is no mention. No mention in the presidential address. Yes, this is their response. Let this response be known to the country. This is how we take it. But the deprived sections, by all this clubbing, they have clubbed the economic criteria, social, education, all into one. And a risk is there in the, now the court of both being put into trouble. That is the risk I see. And to Kumar Mangalam, I told him the risk. Why not have two separate notifications? Why are you clubbing the economic criteria and also backward class, upper caste together? There's no answer. I knew he didn't have an answer.
They have not clarified economic criteria. These 20 years of January.
And all the other point that has been made. Sir, regarding minorities, all that has been mentioned, that a 15-point program for the welfare of minorities which seeks to ensure the minorities are protected and they are not discriminated against in the matter of employment in public services and benefits from development schemes. But what is the concrete thing regarding their employment? We had passed an order that in every selection board, there will be a member of the minorities and of the scheduled caste. You are ensuring the selection boards that at least they are there, you may select or may not select. But what is this? You cannot have joint Ekta Yatras and also speak of minorities. Joint venture of Ekta Yatra. And also, sir, let it be known. We will not get into this trap because whenever you want to save yourself, you get a proposal from them and then say you are together and save yourself. This joint venture we will not allow. We will vote on an issue straight and firm. You try to dissuade us. Try to dissuade us from there. We will vote directly on our issues. And let it be known, we have serious differences with the BJP, and there is no question of any political cooperation with the BJP. I want to go on record, and there is no question. But we are voting for our issue. They are making that point. Sir, in the end, concluding, sir, the point has been asked as to what is the alternative. What is the alternative? Sir, first thing, that you should take the people into confidence. The way we're working class not till now. The trade union has been called in the whole structural changes. Do you think you can face the world without taking the working class here into confidence? Never they have been called. Please do call them and have a meeting. If the public sectors are not being productive, labor participation in management is a way to involve them and to make them more productive, not shutting them down and having exit policy. There is an alternative. Involve the labor, have confidence, they will give you the result. And so far agriculture is concerned, sir, just by mentioning it is a state subject and I hope they will do better, is not the way. It is the agro-industries that and decentralized production that can create employment in the village, taking the load off from the farm, yet providing employment in the rural side. And the purchasing power generated will lead to structural reforms of the industry, where there will be demand for mass items of mass consumption. It is through this that we can get the structural changes by seeing where resources go and by emphasizing on agro-industries. Sir, the real thing is of alternative is to have a will. And the point is that for a slave, there is no other alternative except slavery. So there is has to be a will to be free. And let us not cultivate this cult of slavery and mental enslavement. We shall not in this house force shackles for our posterity. Therefore, we shall vote against the President's address and against prices